Chapter 1: The Birth of Nora. In the heart of the town, nestled behind a row of colorful houses, sat the little trucker Kennels. A wonderland of wagging tails, joyful barks, and earnest puppy eyes, the kennel was a sanctuary of unconditional love and companionship. But there was a remarkable charm about one little resident, Nora. Nora was the newest addition to the kennel family, a bright-eyed miniature pinscher. Her short red fur shone like the rising sun. She was distinct, not just in her appearance, but in her aura too. Born to Uhura, a gentle and loving mother, and Khan, a determined and brave father, Nora was a bundle of joy, warmth, and empathy. David, the owner of the kennel, a robust man with twinkling eyes and a hearty laugh, had noticed something exceptional about this little miniature pinscher. While her siblings would scamper around playfully, Nora had a quieter demeanor. She would be at the side of her brothers and sisters, gently nuzzling a comforting nose against a whimpering puppy, or sharing her favorite chew toy with a sibling who was feeling down. It was like she could sense their spirits, feel their distress, and she always attempted to comfort them. One quiet evening, as David was observing this unique interaction from the warmth of his tiny office, a phone call disrupted the tranquility of the room. The call was from St. Jude's Children's Hospital. A soft-spoken doctor explained that they were looking to introduce a therapy dog into their pediatric oncology unit, a companion for the children going through treatment. They wanted a puppy that could bring a ray of sunshine into their lives, someone who could provide comfort and companionship in their challenging journey. As David listened, his gaze fell upon Nora, who was nestled in the corner of the kennel, her eyes full of understanding. He knew, at that moment, he had found the perfect match. A smile spread across his face as he replied to the doctor, "I believe we have just the companion you're looking for." David had seen many puppies come and go in his years of running the little trucker kennels, but Nora was something special. He knew in his heart that she was destined for great things. Little did he know, Nora's story was just beginning, her tale of courage, empathy, and resilience about to unfold. This little red miniature pinscher, named Nora for a reason, was about to embark on a journey far beyond the familiar corners of her kennel, a journey that would touch the lives of countless children, bringing them comfort, courage, and a glimmer of joy. But for now, under the watchful eyes of her parents, Uhura and Khan, and the loving care of David, Nora was ready to step into a world that was waiting for her warmth and love. So ended the first chapter in the life of Nora, a small puppy with a large heart, whose empathy and spirit would soon become a beacon of courage and resilience in the lives of the children at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Little did she know that her destiny was calling, and her name, Nora, was the perfect reflection of her upcoming journey.
Chapter 2: Miss Poopsalot's Adventure.
Life in Memphis, Tennessee was a lot different than the kennels, Nora quickly found out. Now residing with Dr. John, a kind-hearted but no-nonsense man, Nora found herself navigating new terrain and trying to decipher the strange rules of her new home. It wasn't always easy being a small puppy in a big world. Dr. John, with his white coat and stethoscope, was often at his wits' end with Nora. "I swear, you poop twice as much as you eat," he would exclaim, his voice echoing through the halls of his home. The look of bemusement on his face would be followed by a hearty laugh. "Maybe I should have named you Miss Poopsalot," he'd add, a twinkle in his eye. It was a joke that Nora didn't quite understand, but it seemed to make Dr. John happy. As days turned into weeks, the little red miniature pinscher began to learn the ropes of her new environment. Her naturally fast metabolism coupled with the rich puppy food often led to comedic moments, turning her pooping mishaps into a running joke between Dr. John and his friends. On the bright side, Nora grew fast. Within 4 weeks, she had noticeably increased in size. Her fur was brighter, her eyes were sharper, and her sense of her surroundings was keener. She was ready to take on the world, or at least, the basics of puppyhood. When she was 12 weeks old, it was time for Nora to go to school. She learned to respond to commands such as sit, stay, and come. She learned to walk on a leash, her little paws strutting with pride as she walked alongside Dr. John. He would laugh and say, "Well, at least you're not Miss Pulls-a-Lot, Nora." Taking David's recommendation, Dr. John began taking Nora to the local hardware store, a pet-friendly establishment filled with all kinds of strange smells and noises. At first, Nora was a little overwhelmed. The towering shelves seemed like giants, and the echoes made her ears twitch. But Dr. John had a plan. He would let the patrons and staff at the hardware store give Nora treats. At first, she was hesitant, her small stature making the friendly strangers appear enormous. But soon, Nora learned that these giants were kind and loving, just like Dr. John and David. The towering figures turned from monsters to gentle giants as Nora's confidence grew. The tiny red puppy learned that not all strangers were scary, that many could be kind, and that some could even be friends. Through it all, Dr. John was by her side, guiding her, encouraging her, and laughing at her antics. Despite the initial hurdles, Memphis was starting to feel like home. As Nora's world continued to grow, she was slowly preparing for her most significant adventure yet, bringing Nora and love to the children at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. But for now, she was content being Dr. John's adorable little Miss Poops-a-Lot.
Chapter 3: Nora's first day at the hospital.
With every passing day, Nora was becoming more accustomed to her life with Dr. John. Her strides were more confident, and she walked happily beside him, her leash held high. The time had finally come for her to visit the place that would soon become a significant part of her life, St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Dr. John was both excited and nervous about the introduction. He knew Nora was just a small, rambunctious puppy who saw the world as a giant playpen. The hospital was a new environment, filled with many children, all unique in their own ways, many with tubes and IVs attached to them. As they entered the hospital, Nora was bombarded with a slew of new scents, sounds, and sights. It was all a little overwhelming at first. The hospital was a hive of activity, with doctors, nurses, and patients moving about. But with Dr. John at her side, she took it all in stride. Dr. John was careful to introduce Nora to the children slowly. He held her close, allowing the children to gently pet her, explaining that she was small and needed to be handled gently. The children were fascinated by the little red puppy. Despite being unwell, their eyes lit up at the sight of her, their tiny hands reaching out to feel her soft fur. As they met each child, Dr. John carefully monitored the interactions, ensuring Nora didn't accidentally tug on any IVs or tubes, treating them as playful toys. He would gently steer her away, a soft reprimand in his voice, which Nora was quick to understand. The children soon learned that Nora was just a puppy, as small and fragile as they felt sometimes. The shared vulnerability created an immediate bond between them. Even in her youth, Nora seemed to sense this connection. Amazingly, Nora began to show an uncanny understanding of the children's needs. She seemed to gravitate towards those children who were most in need of comfort. She would lay her head gently in their laps, her eyes bright and understanding, as if she could sense their spirits just like she did with her siblings at the kennel. Day by day, Nora started to understand her role at the hospital. The children's faces would light up whenever she walked into the room, their laughter filling the hallways. Dr. John watched with pride as Nora, once the rambunctious Miss Poops-a-Lot, was transforming into a beacon of comfort and joy for the children at St. Jude's. While she was still learning and growing, Nora was proving to be just what the hospital needed. Her ability to comfort and bring smiles to the children's faces was more than anyone could have Nora'd for, making her first trip to the hospital a resounding success. Chapter 4: Nora and the Little Warrior. In the busy life of St. Jude's Children's Hospital, new challenges and experiences were a daily occurrence. As Nora settled into her routine, Dr. John introduced her to a special little girl named Lily. Lily was a bright, curious 8-year-old with a head full of unruly curls and an infectious laugh. But, like the other children in the hospital, Lily was fighting her own battle. She was grappling with a life-altering illness that was a lot different than the common cold she used to complain about back home. She was finding it hard to understand why she couldn't just shake it off and return to her life. Dr. John knew Lily was in need of a special kind of comfort that he, as a doctor, might not be able to provide. This is where Nora came in. The little red miniature Pinscher, with her empathetic nature, seemed to understand the children's spirits in a way that baffled adults. Upon their first meeting, Nora instinctively gravitated toward Lily. The small puppy nestled beside her, looking up with eyes that held a depth of understanding far beyond her months. Lily was initially surprised by Nora's affection, then delighted. She gently stroked Nora's soft fur, her worry-lined face softening into a smile. Over the next few days, Lily and Nora became inseparable. Lily found solace in Nora's steady presence, in her warm, comforting snuggles, and in the way Nora seemed to listen when she spoke about her fears and dreams. In return, Nora offered her steady companionship, her soft nuzzles, and the comfort that seemed to radiate from her. Through her time with Nora, Lily began to grasp the difference between being momentarily unwell, like having a cold, and facing a life-altering illness. She understood that her situation was not something that could be shaken off quickly, but rather something that required courage, patience, and resilience. Nora played a vital role in Lily's understanding. She would sit with Lily during her treatments, nuzzling close, offering comfort and silent support. In those moments, Lily would look at Nora, her small, fragile companion, and find the strength to face her own fragility, to confront her fears, and to fight her battles with all the bravery she could muster. Dr. John watched their bond grow, feeling a deep sense of pride for Nora. He was amazed by the connection between Lily and Nora and how Nora had helped the young girl grasp the harsh reality of her situation. It was a testament to the spirit of the little red miniature Pinscher, and a symbol of the Nora she brought to St. Jude's Children's Hospital every day. In Nora, Lily found not only a companion but also a fellow warrior, a comforting presence that helped her face her challenges head-on. And in Lily, Nora found a friend who needed her support and love, making the little red puppy's journey at the hospital even more meaningful. Chapter 5: Nora and the Unconventional Journey. At St. Jude's Children's Hospital, every day held a different story. Ethan, a spirited 10-year-old boy, was struggling with his own tale. He was battling cancer, and his greatest anxiety was the fear of never being a normal kid again. Much like a small boat adrift in a vast, turbulent sea, Ethan felt lost and alone, unable to find his bearings in his new, challenging reality. Observing Ethan's distress, Dr. John knew it was time to introduce him to Nora, the little red miniature Pinscher with an extraordinary empathetic sense. Just as a lighthouse guides lost ships to safety, Dr. John knew Nora would be the beacon that Ethan needed. As the little dog approached the silent boy, there was a palpable change in the atmosphere. A curious sense of understanding seemed to pass between them, even in that first encounter. In the weeks that followed, Nora and Ethan became as inseparable as the sun and the sky. The warmth of her presence was there when he woke, during his treatments, and as he fell asleep. Her quiet reassurances whispered through her gentle nuzzles, easing his fears, much like the wind softens the waves for the lost boat, leading it gently towards the shore. Through her companionship, Nora showed Ethan that she was not a normal dog either. Just as a phoenix is different from other birds due to its ability to rise from the ashes, Nora was unique because of her extraordinary empathy. She could sense distress and offer comfort in ways that other dogs couldn't. Much like two misfit puzzle pieces finding solace in each other, Ethan and Nora fit together perfectly in their shared uniqueness. Together, they explored the hospital's nooks and corners, marveled at the beauty of the garden, and soaked in the tranquility of the sunsets. These shared experiences began to color Ethan's gray world with hues of Nora and joy. With Nora's quiet guidance, Ethan started to understand that normal was not a set path, but rather a winding road with unexpected twists and turns. He learned that being normal didn't mean being the same as everyone else, just as Nora was loved for her unique abilities, not in spite of them. Dr. John observed this transformation unfold, his heart swelling with pride. Nora, the little red miniature Pinscher, was once again lighting the way in a young life clouded by illness. Her ability to empathize, to connect, and to comfort was changing Ethan's perception of his journey, much like the lighthouse guides the lost ship towards the safe harbor. Through Nora, Ethan found an unconventional friend who understood him and showed him that even in adversity, there could be joy. And in Ethan, Nora found another soul she could help navigate the stormy seas, further reinforcing her purpose and the profound meaning behind her name.
Chapter 6: Nora and the Long Road Ahead.
In the kaleidoscope of stories unfolding at St. Jude's Children's Hospital, Nora and her young friends were etching their unique narrative. The little red miniature Pinscher was becoming a beacon of comfort for many young warriors in the cancer ward. One day, Dr. John was discussing the treatment plan with a group of children and their parents. The concept of a multi-year treatment process was overwhelming to many of these children. The look in their eyes reminded Dr. John of a herd of deer caught in the headlights, stunned and apprehensive about the long journey that lay ahead. Seeing the trepidation in their faces, Dr. John knew it was time to lean on Nora's unspoken wisdom. He turned the conversation towards Nora's ongoing training process, drawing parallels between the children's long-term treatment journey and Nora's continual learning journey. Dr. John shared how, much like them, Nora also had to face new challenges every day. Just as they had to endure painful treatments and therapies, Nora too had to learn new commands and behaviors, some of which were confusing and difficult for her. She, too, faced setbacks and had to repeat lessons. But look at her now, Dr. John said, pointing to Nora, who was quietly sitting by his side, her eyes attentively watching the children. Every day, she learns a little more, grows a little stronger. She's becoming the best she can be, one step at a time, just as you will. Just as the seasons changed gradually, painting the world in different hues over time, Nora's progress was slow but steady. She didn't become an empathetic comfort dog overnight. It took weeks of learning, understanding, and adapting, much like the children's treatment process would be. In the quiet of the cancer ward, Nora became the symbol of patient resilience. She taught the children that some things, like the transformation of a caterpillar into a butterfly, took time and patience. Nora's training wasn't a sprint, it was a marathon, just as their treatment journey would be. Over the following weeks, Dr. John often referred back to Nora's training journey whenever a child struggled with the concept of their long-term treatment. Nora's presence and progress served as a tangible, comforting example that the path to healing, just like the path to learning, required time, patience, and resilience. In this chapter of their shared narrative, Nora helped the children accept and understand their multi-year treatment process. She was a beacon in their long nights, the light that guided them when the road seemed too long, and a symbol of unwavering Nora. And in doing so, the little red miniature Pinscher continued to fulfill her purpose at St. Jude's Children's Hospital, bringing comfort, courage, and understanding to her young friends.
Chapter 7: Nora and the Journey to a New Home.
St. Jude's Children's Hospital was a home away from home for many young warriors. These children had left their familiar surroundings, their school friends, their beloved pets, and their neighborhoods to come to an entirely different world, marked by white coats, fur stands, and the constant hum of medical machines. This sudden separation from their normal world often overwhelmed the children, painting their journey with hues of homesickness. Seeing their struggle, Dr. John knew it was time for another story about Nora, the little red miniature Pinscher who was more than just a comfort dog. He gathered the children around and began to tell Nora's tale, a tale of leaving behind familiarity and embracing the new. Nora too, much like you all, had a home before she came to Memphis, Dr. John began, his voice steady and comforting. She was born in a cozy kennel named Little Trucker Kennels, surrounded by her brothers, sisters, and her parents, Uhura and Khan. As he spoke, Nora nuzzled against his hand, her bright eyes watching the children closely. They leaned in, listening intently, their own troubles momentarily forgotten in the face of Nora's story. When the time came for her to leave, Nora had to say goodbye to the familiar sights and sounds, the cozy corners she played in, her family, and her friends. It wasn't easy for her, much like it's not easy for any of you, Dr. John continued. Nora's journey to her new home in Memphis, Tennessee, hundreds of miles away from her kennel, was filled with anxiety, confusion, and a longing for her family. But in the face of these emotions, Nora, much like a ship braving the stormy seas, stayed resilient. In Memphis, Nora found a new friend in Dr. John, new experiences, and a new purpose. The journey was challenging, but it led her to become the empathetic comfort dog that she was now. In much the same way, Dr. John said, you all are on a journey. It's okay to miss your homes, your friends, and your normal life. But remember, just like Nora, you're here for a purpose. And with time, you will find that this place, with its white coats and humming machines, will become a second home. Through her story, Nora helped the children in the cancer ward understand and cope with their feelings of homesickness. She became a bridge between their normal world and their current journey, a reminder that change, while challenging, could lead to new friendships, experiences, and strengths. Through it all, Nora was there, a constant companion, her journey serving as a beacon of resilience for the young warriors at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. She helped them see that even in unfamiliar terrain, they could find comfort, camaraderie, and most importantly, Nora.
Chapter 8, Nora and the Magic Potion.
St. Jude's Children's Hospital was a mosaic of stories, each child weaving their unique tale of resilience. One such tale was that of little Rosie, a vibrant 3-year-old now grappling with the complexities of cancer treatment. Rosie, a bundle of infectious laughter and playful mischief, couldn't understand why the treatments meant to make her better were making her feel worse. The confusion and distress reflected in Rosie's eyes were heartrending. Dr. John, familiar with these struggles, knew it was time for Nora, their little 4-legged bundle of empathy, to step in. Rosie was sitting on her bed, a sea of soft toys around her when Nora trotted in. The little miniature Pinscher radiated a calming presence, her small body curling up beside Rosie. The child's face lit up, her fingers gently stroking Nora's soft fur. Rosie, Dr. John began, sitting down next to her. Did you know that when Nora was a tiny pup, she had to take some magic potion? Rosie's eyes widened in intrigue as she looked from Dr. John to Nora.
Magic potion? She echoed.
Dr. John nodded, a gentle smile tugging at his lips. Yes, magic potion. You see, Nora was the smallest of her brothers and sisters. This magic potion was supposed to make her strong and healthy, but at first, it made her feel strange. She felt tired, didn't want her favorite treats, and was not her usual playful self. The description mirrored Rosie's own experience, the side effects of her treatment causing her similar discomfort. But then, something amazing happened, Dr. John continued, his voice calm and reassuring. As Nora continued to take her magic potion, she started to grow stronger. Even though it didn't feel good at first, the potion was actually helping her. Now, she's the bravest and most empathetic pup we know. Rosie was silent for a moment, her gaze moving between Nora and Dr. John. So, my medicine is like Nora's magic potion? She finally asked, her voice laced with newfound understanding. Yes, Rosie, Dr. John replied, a proud smile spreading across his face. It's exactly like that. It's making you stronger, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. The parallel between Nora's story and Rosie's treatment journey helped the young girl understand the importance and necessity of her medicine, despite its immediate unpleasant effects. Rosie's journey in the hospital wasn't easy, but with Nora by her side, she found strength and understanding. Nora, in her gentle and subtle way, was teaching Rosie to face her treatments with courage, reinforcing the belief that she too was taking her magic potion to become stronger, one day at a time.
Chapter 9, Nora and the Boy in the Bubble.
Nora, the empathetic miniature Pinscher, had seen various sides of St. Jude's Children's Hospital. However, nothing could have prepared her for the sight of little Jamie, a vivacious 7-year-old boy encapsulated in a world of his own, isolated from everyone due to his immunocompromised state. Nora had never encountered anyone who couldn't physically pet her, and Jamie's situation puzzled her. The bubble, as the children and staff had come to refer to Jamie's sterile environment, was Jamie's home and fortress against the world. It kept him safe from germs, but it also separated him from the warmth of human touch. Dr. John knew this was going to be a challenging case for Nora. But he had faith in her instincts. He took Nora to Jamie's bubble, allowing her to take in the unfamiliar sight. Jamie's face lit up when he saw Nora. He pressed his small hands against the transparent material of his bubble, his desire to touch Nora evident in his sparkling eyes. Nora trotted towards the bubble, her little snout nudging the transparent wall. A low whine escaped her, reflecting her confusion at this invisible barrier. Jamie laughed, his young heart delighted by Nora's actions. Dr. John began to speak, his voice soft and comforting.
Nora, remember how we had to adapt when we moved from little trucker kennels to Memphis? This is another change we need to adapt to. Jamie can't touch us, but we can still be friends.
Nora looked at Dr. John, then back at Jamie. Slowly, she lay down near the bubble, close enough for Jamie to see her clearly. She wagged her small, docked tail, causing Jamie to erupt into giggles. It was a different kind of interaction, but Nora seemed to understand. In the following days, Nora became a regular visitor to Jamie's bubble. She would play, eat, and even nap near his bubble, providing him with a sense of companionship and normalcy. Jamie would often talk to Nora, his stories and laughter filling the room. While they couldn't physically touch each other, Nora helped Jamie overcome his isolation. She brought a piece of the outside world to him, easing his loneliness. The sight of her playful antics through the transparent wall brought joy and laughter to his isolated world. For Nora, this was a new learning experience. She realized that empathy didn't always require physical contact. Her presence alone could bring comfort and happiness. This understanding deepened her bond with Jamie, making their friendship a beacon of Nora and resilience in the face of adversity. Through this unique bond, they proved that not even a bubble could hinder the power of compassion and companionship.
Chapter 10, Nora and the Holiday Spirit.
The air of St. Jude's Children's Hospital was thick with a bittersweet melody of the holiday season. Christmas trees sparkled in the corners of the corridors, and a festive spirit hung in the air. But it was also a time of longing for many of the young patients, a stark reminder of the miles that separated them from their homes and loved ones. The little red miniature Pinscher, Nora, could sense the change in the air. The hospital, her new home, buzzed with a mix of excitement and melancholy. She could see it in the children's eyes, the joy of the season intertwined with a yearning for home. As the holidays drew closer, Nora's work doubled. She spent more time in the hospital, visiting each child, offering her silent support, and spreading her unique brand of holiday cheer. Dr. John noticed her tiring more easily, but also saw her determination to bring comfort to the children. Nora, do you remember the story of the little engine that could? Dr. John asked her one late evening as they sat in his office, a pile of patient files in front of him. Nora looked up at him, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the Christmas lights. "Just like the little engine, you need to believe you can do this. We're their family this holiday season, and we need to bring as much joy as we can." His voice was soft, encouraging. Fueled by her indomitable spirit and Dr. John's words, Nora took to her holiday mission with renewed vigor. She would greet the children with her joyful prance, her small body radiating warmth and love. Sometimes, she would lie beside them as they fell asleep, a comforting presence in the cold hospital room. With each child she visited, Nora brought a little piece of holiday magic. She reminded them of the strength they carried within themselves, their ability to find joy even in the most challenging circumstances. Her presence reassured them, a comforting constant in a world that was changing too fast. As the children saw Nora's unwavering spirit, they too began to show signs of resilience and positivity. They looked forward to her visits, their faces lighting up at the sight of the little red dog. Though far from their homes and families, the children found a new family in each other, in Dr. John, and most importantly, in Nora. They celebrated the holiday season in their own special way, their spirits bolstered by the presence of their furry friend. Despite the exhaustion, Nora found a unique fulfillment in her work during the holidays. The hospital, filled with the sounds of laughter and whispers of Nora, became a beacon of holiday cheer. And in the center of it all was Nora, the little dog who, like the children, was far from home but found a family in those around her. She embodied the holiday spirit, proving that even in tough times, there was always room for Nora, joy, and love. Chapter 11: Nora and the Sunset Days. In the realm of St. Jude's Children's Hospital, Nora had seen countless sunrises and sunsets, each bringing with them their unique mix of joy and pain, triumphs and trials. However, nothing could have prepared her for the task at hand, helping young Timothy grasp a truth too heavy for his 9 years. His illness may not be curable. Timothy was a bright child, his spirit untamed by his condition. His eyes, always filled with curiosity, reflected his eagerness to understand the world, even the harsh realities that came with his sickness. Dr. John knew this would be a sensitive conversation, and once again, he turned to Nora. Sitting beside Timothy's bed, Nora's soft, comforting presence filled the room. Dr. John looked at Nora, then at Timothy, and began his explanation. "Timothy, have you ever wondered why dogs are always so happy?" Dr. John asked, his tone gentle. Timothy glanced at Nora, who was curled up next to him, her dark eyes shining with affection. "No," Timothy admitted, his gaze steady on the little red miniature Pinscher. "Well, dogs have shorter lifespans compared to humans. They live each day as if it could be their last, finding joy in every little thing, a tasty treat, a good petting, a game of fetch." Dr. John explained, his voice steady. Timothy was silent for a moment, his young mind absorbing the words. "Is that why Nora is always happy?" Dr. John nodded. "Yes, Timothy. She lives every moment to the fullest. And she teaches us to do the same. We may not know how long we have, but what's important is how well we live each day, how much love and happiness we can share." Drawing a parallel between Nora's short lifespan and Timothy's condition wasn't easy, but it brought a vital perspective. The conversation stirred a deep understanding within Timothy. He realized that life wasn't about the number of days, but about the experiences and joy those days held. In the following days, Timothy began to mirror Nora's zeal for life. He laughed more, played when he felt strong enough, and loved with all his heart. His illness was a part of him, but it didn't define him. And Nora, the little red miniature Pinscher with a heart of gold, was there with him every step of the way, reminding him and everyone else at St. Jude's that life was a collection of moments to be cherished, not a countdown of days. Chapter 11 echoed a poignant truth that the strength of life wasn't measured in its duration, but in the richness of its experiences, a lesson that Nora, in her unique, empathetic way, shared with Timothy and the other children at St. Jude's. Copyright 2023 David Sardi. For more doggy adventures, go to www.littletruckerkennel.com. That's www.littletruckerkennel.com.